everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today's guest, I am super, super honored to call him a friend and to have him on today, Mr. Ken Hynes. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Pili. How are you today?
So good. It has been a blessed morning. So, Ken started single family real estate while in the Army. When he retired, he had a portfolio of 5 single family rentals in 5 different states. We'll get more into that later. And then he started to look into multifamily, first as a limited partner into a total of 6 different deals. He decided to move from single family rentals into multifamily and used his equity from his single family rentals via a 1031 exchange, refinancing, and sales to purchase 1 10-unit. And he is also under contract for 7 more units. So Ken, welcome to the show. There's so much to unpack there. But first, let's get started with your genesis. Like, how did you get started in real estate?
Well, it all started like when I was in the Army, my first couple of duty stations. Like my dad had done some sort of, like he had done, a small apartment or a small multifamily when I was growing up. So we always had like tenants around. And so it was always sort of in my blood. And then at my first duty station, I was renting and it just hit to me like, hey, I'm not really using my money correctly. So I ended up buying my first house, bought it all wrong. But I ended up buying my first house in North Carolina while I was stationed there. Then when I left, I had to plan on, I had some mentors tell me, you're always going to come back here. So turn it into a rental and you always have a place to come back to get stationed back there. And so I turned it into a rental when I left. And then that formula seemed to click for me. So at every duty station while I was stationed in the States, I just repeated that process.
So did you learn that from someone, or was it just something that made sense to you?
A little bit of both. Like at my first duty, a couple of all the people, all the rugby players and stuff had mentioned that they were buying houses and it's turning them into rentals because around military communities, there's always like a rental demand because people are always moving in or moving out. And so I thought it'd be just like the best place to park my money for a while, because I didn't know at the time that I was gonna make it a 20-year career, but I was gonna go someplace and come right back to North Carolina. And so I just like the stability of having a house there. So, if I ever did end up coming back, I have a place to stay. I wouldn't have to worry about moving back, and it would be a place where it could provide some passive income while I wasn't there.
So while you were in the Army, while serving, you started your real estate career. How many years did that span?
22.
22 years. So in those 22 years, you took down 5 single family rentals in 5 different states. And so what I'm trying to get to for my audience is that while you were in the Army, you started taking action. You started seeing where this road could take you. So you're nearing retirement. You have these 5 single family rentals. What happens next?
Well, my original goal when I started, after I realized, I had done 10 years and figuring this would be a career, was I wanted the houses to offset the housing allowance that I was receiving when I was in active duty. So that was my initial plan, have that provide passive income to replace the housing allowance. And that was maybe too small of a goal because by the time I retired, it nearly doubled that. And so, but then you also have the headaches of trying to manage 5 different property managers in 5 different states as you're going through. So once I retired, I knew multifamily. I had heard about multifamily, but I really wasn't experienced in it. Figured, hey, what do I have to do to get into this space? And so I started taking some courses, went to 1 or 2 boot camps, and then learned about being a limited partner. So that was my first step into the multifamily stage while I was still managing or owning the single families.
So let's talk about that a little bit. You have 5 different properties in 5 different states. You already mentioned that it was difficult to manage 5 different property managers. So you're starting to learn to get into multifamily. What are some of the, for those in my audience that don't know the difference, what are some of the huge differences that you're seeing between having those 5 single family rentals and getting in as a limited partner into large multifamily?
Well, when you have the rentals, you sort of you're responsible for everything, the houses, everything. So something goes wrong, or if there's a maintenance issue or something like that, automatically affects your bottom line. And especially on the vacancy side, on the single family side, once there's a turnover, that might be a month or two to get it filled again, because only certain families would occupy the single family houses. Where in the multifamily, where I was a limited partner, I would see like vacancies maybe take a week or 10 days, and you really wouldn't notice it because, on the deals I was in, it was like 100 unit, 200 unit places. So there was always something vacant. And so the vacancy seemed to hit a lot less, and it seemed to be you could a lot more economies of scale as you go forward. Your money will seem to go a lot further.
That is amazing. I love how you mentioned economies of scale, because that's one of the hugest difference between multifamily and single family is just that you have one vacant in your 5 different units across the states. That's a fifth of your income that's gone. Whereas you have one vacant in a 100-unit building. Well, you can do the math right then and there. So you jump into as a limited partner. How did that help you to take the next steps to becoming a general partner, to becoming a sponsor of your own deal?
First thing is help me just understand what the finances and sort of like the economics and the math behind multifamily. Like what is like a rent roll? What are some of like the differences in loan products? Because as a single family, especially like when I was turning what I did is I lived in it as a primary and it turned that into a rental. So there's different loan products available for like a single family owner occupier than just an investor or your debt. So what are the different debt products out there? How do you maximize your revenue? Because in a single family, you only have the rent, but in a multifamily, you have rent, laundry income, you might have pets, you might have parking, stuff like that. So several of the different partnerships that I saw, you notice the different streams of income coming in and how they all, they might seem small, but you add them cumulatively over the year, they all impact the bottom line. So just, the different streams of income, all that. So that was some of the major differences. And so just getting comfortable with adding zeros to your analysis, because you buy a home for like 100,000 or something like that, and you rent it for 1,000. But now you're scaling up into like the $1 million range, something like that. It might seem unsettling just to add a couple of zeros, but you realize it's just math at the end of the day. So it has helped me become more comfortable taking on larger products and seeing, as long as you do your good, your underwriting is good, your due diligence is good, it's just I wouldn't say it's just a math problem, but it's just problems that are bigger, the same problems with a couple more zeros, and they're all solvable.
Yeah, and I've heard from other operators, and this is true for us as well. I feel like as we get bigger, it almost gets easier. Again, we're talking about bringing in operational deficiencies as well, and how you can operate the property even better, and being able to not only manage the asset, but manage your managers. Now, going back to what you said about having 5 different managers in 5 different states for a single family rental, now you have one manager for 10 units in one state. Tell us a little bit about the differences there, and how you included operational deficiencies, and how you are being able to improve the building that you just took down.
First, you're just dealing with one person. And so I have just one property manager that's handling all the maintenance, stuff like that. So if one of the tenants is late, or they have an issue with their plumbing, I'm not trying to run down a plumbing contractor or a landscaper. It's just one person that's handling all that stuff. And then, if I have one person that's late on the rent, I'm not sweating it because the 9 others are paid, and I have a reserve built. And so it's just peace of mind. It's so much easier because you have 9 things. So you need a lot more to go wrong on the multifamily, where versus a single family where a person may move out, before the lease ends or something like that. And then now you're stuck with an empty building.
Fantastic. So I want to jump ship a little bit. You are with us in 7-Figure Multifamily. How has your time with us been thus far?
Oh, great. Just the networking alone has been phenomenal. Simply, because we have people that are just starting out in the real estate journey, like that are doing their first deal, like to me that have done maybe one or two deals that are trying to look at expand the guys like the Robinsons or other people that have done many deals. They're already established in the space and they have so much experience that they can give back. And so, you just realize we're all on the same journey, just on different steps to it. And we all could help each other. And you can help the people behind, not behind you, but people that are starting out. And you also provide some value to the people who have done other things because they might have done the same thing you've done. And so you can provide your feedback, your experience, and you can provide whatever skill sets you have, like underwriting, due diligence. Hey, I'm looking at this 10 unit. What are some of the things that are different from this? Looking at a single family, like how to do a lease audit or a rent roll audit and stuff like that. How to examine a T12. So, just the wealth of expertise that there's available in the group that you can reach out and touch to. So if I have a question, I'm not trying to Google it. I just put it in the group. Go, hey guys, have anyone seen this? Or I'm running this problem on my lease audit or on my due diligence. What do you guys think? And then either Jason pipes in and Chad pipes in, and then you have a couple other guys that's giving your feedback. And so you get a lot more set of eyes on your deals. And so there might be some like if there's a mistake out there, you get it pointed out. And so you get a lot more comfortable doing those bigger deals because it's not just you. It's you have like a pseudo team behind you that's looked at the deal and provided feedback to it.
I love it. It's like you have all these people in your corner rooting for you, but they're also going to tell you when something goes difficult, when something's wrong, right?
Exactly. Hey, you might want to look at this, or hey, that doesn't look right, or you may want to examine that further because, and that'll save you stress, money, heartache, time, just having guys that either done before or say, hey, you probably don't want to even go down that road because it's going to be down the 2 years down the road, you just have the same problem, stuff like that.
And sometimes it's just like that little comment, that little like piece of advice that saves you tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars because they saw something that you didn't. So I want to bring up another thing, because in our mastermind, you have become one of the leaders because you and Caroline Kahn, another one of our mastermind leaders in the mastermind, has taken upon yourself to have these weekly underwriting calls, even when we were just starting. So tell me a little bit about these calls that you do and how that not only helps you, but helps the community.
Well, me and Caroline decided, like, after the first ones, like we were both interested in the analyzer, like how to underwrite deals, because we had done some of it before, like because there's some resources out there, but we hadn't really dove in depth. So for us, it's just reps, because the more you underwrite, the better you get on it, no matter what the deal. And we have such a wide variety of members. Some guys are doing like 60, 80 unit deals. Yuri's owning half of Dallas and so like that. And so you have a wide variety of deals. So every time you do one, like, and they're all different, like. So you have to take it like, what's the difference in property taxes in Texas versus Tennessee? What are the rental rates in Florida versus North Carolina, stuff like that. So the more you do it, for me and Caroline, we just get, reps in and become better underwriters. And for people that come to the calls, they get like a second set of eyes, and like we provide some of that feedback saying, hey, we've seen in other deals that like property taxes will jump up after you buy, or these insurance rates are really, like Erin Pinto is really great at, like, she'll go and she'll like notice trends that like even me and Caroline won't see, like insurance costs or maintenance being on 10% or something like that. And that not really red flags, but maybe something that you need to investigate more in your due diligence phase, saying, hey, why is this cost so low, or why are these costs so high in the T12? And so all of us are providing some feedback to the deal, and it helps not only the person that has the deal that brings it to us, but everyone on the call, because they see all the things that go into underwriting a multifamily deal.
I love it, because you can, as you're breaking it down and as you're having these conversations with your team members, with your partners, with your fellow mastermind members, you're also learning at the same time. So like you said, it's all about the reps. That's how you learn. So for any of my listeners out there that are thinking about getting into large multifamily, please tap on the link below, but do exactly what Ken says. Practice. Find an underwriting sheet and simply practice. Start getting used to it. Because when I mean, Ken, be honest with me. When you first looked at our underwriting sheet, what did you think?
Can't repeat that on. It was complicated. It was a little bit daunting. I understood most of it, but like there's some stuff like that you just don't understand, like how it impact like the bottom line. And what I like about the analyze sheet, it'll take out a couple of years, so you're not just looking at year one. So you see like, hey, small changes in year one, year two will help you down, like say a 5-year hold or something like that. So it just, you realize how many different variables and how many things impact it, and it's all about what returns or what what's important to you, because you could like sort of like not customize it, but you could sort of like tailor it. So hey, if my investors want the cash on cash return, this is where I can figure it out. It's just total IRR or something like that. If I want to offer like a preferred return to somebody, how is that going to impact it? So it's tailorable, so you could suit it to. If I want to take the deal down by myself, or just me and a couple of JV partners, how would that look versus if I'm syndicating it and having general partners and limited partners?
So it's all about getting used to your numbers, because when it comes down to it, it's about the numbers, but it's also about the people that you surround yourself with and what kind of value that not only you can provide to the people that you surround yourself with, but that team that you collect around you to bring to your deal. Because somebody might bring to a deal something that'll save you, again, tens of thousands of dollars, which makes the deal work. But without that person, the deal wouldn't have worked. So Ken, as we move into the future, what does the future look like for you? You had mentioned in your bio, you have a 7-unit coming along. What does your future look like?
The immediate future would be just learning out more on the asset management side, stabilizing the 7-unit, making it run more efficiently, and the 10-unit, because a lot, like sometimes we might get too caught up on underwriting the deal, but not running the deal itself. Mm-hmm. So how do I make that make them run more efficiently? And then near term, probably either JVing or joining a general partner team as far as on the due diligence, underwriting, and asset management side. I'm a numbers guy. I was a former engineer, so I think that's where my skill set is. That's where I could bring the most value to a team. And so working on the GPT in my target markets and figuring out, what are some of the best deals there.
Let's dig into that a little bit. Let's talk about asset management, then we'll talk about being a valuable team member, because I think that'll bring us full circle to your time in the Army. So with asset management, so all you hear about in like the wild world web is mostly about getting the deal, finding the deal, underwriting the deal, getting to the deal, getting it closed. What happens after is what makes or breaks the deal, right? So talk to us a little bit about your experiences right now in managing your assets.
Well, both good and bad. I would say where I got into a habit, I think people get into a habit especially on my single family side. If it's there and it's performing, you sort of forget about it. So you forget about, like raising rents or, maintaining it. So I learned from my single family days, you can't just, set it and forget it, because, you might not be making it most efficient. You might, be losing some money on the rents, because like one house, I had the same tenant for 7 years, and I didn't raise the rents at all until, last year. And so, yes, it's great. There's no turnover and stuff like that. But then also you realize it's not kept up with the market. And so like you do all the analyze, like, hey, we need to bring up the markets. We need to do all these things. But once you get the asset, you realize how hard that is, because it's actually people's tenants' lives you're dealing with. So you can't just like boot everybody out or, raise the rents the first couple of months. You got to see, what the community is like, what the tenants want, or what they need as far as, what improvements, like putting washer dryers into the units now instead of them going to a laundromat, something like that. So what are the key improvements that you can make to make the tenants' life better, so that they want to stay? Because the main lesson I've learned throughout is, and it's hard to capture on the underwriting sheet, unless you know, is like, what are the turnover and vacancy costs? Because that will kill your deal if like you start like upgrading and then people leave and then they'll come back, or you over improve it or something like that. So what are the key improvements that are needed, and then what are, that to bring the max value that will make the tenant stay. And so because the vacancy and the turnover costs are one of your, I would say, hidden things that you can try to capture it on your underwriting, but until you actually start going through it, you realize that's probably one of your biggest cost drivers right there.
I love it. And thank you for that advice. As you go into asset management, you can plan all you want in your underwriting, in your business plan. And by all means, once you get to this step, implement that business plan, but know when to pivot. It's not a set and forget it type of deal. Once you are an asset manager, you are managing that asset until disposition. And you have not only the duty towards your tenants, but you also have the duties towards your investors as well. You want to make sure that you get to those returns that you had not so much promised, but you had put down into your underwriting. So tell me a little bit about, and you had mentioned this, about putting that team together. How does having the right team around you help you to further along not only your goals, but the goals of your, for instance, your buildings? What importance does that team carry?
First, like their experience in either their target market or your target buildings. Like I had a bad experience as an LP where a couple of GPs have moved into a new market and a new building in class size. I as an LP didn't have enough knowledge to know like how you like sort of research or vet your GP teams, and so they ran into issues on trying to run that asset. And they didn't have like the right team on the ground. Like they went through 3 or 4 property managers. So on building the right team, you can use, hey, what kind of property management team do you have? Who do you use for lending? Who are some of the good insurance guys that will get not only get you the best quotes and stuff, but get back to you in a timely manner? Because sometimes it's not all about dollars; it's about the timely response, and the communication between you and your other team members that could make or break a deal. Because if you're waiting on a quote or if you're waiting on information in today's market, that deal is going to go away, or that deal is going to be under LOI before you guys have a chance to either put an LOI in or make revisions to it. So, and then learning about yourself, like what you're good at and what you bring to the table, and where you are lacking, or what other parts or pieces do you need? Because I'm really good at numbers and looking at properties and figuring out what's the best. That's where I'm trying to get to, is like figure out what are the best ways you can run a property. But as far as like talking to people, talking to tenants, talking to investors, and raising capital, that's a whole skill set within itself. As I progress, I know I'm going to need that area, somebody else to bring that to the team. So I could bring my underwriting and my asset management versus people bringing the capital raising, investor relations, and stuff like that.
Fantastic. And Ken, thank you for being a part of Seven Figure Multifamily and basically being a part of the team and the world that we are trying to build together. So before I let you go, what are some key bits of advice that you can give my listeners as they walk this journey?
I mean, probably the key thing that sort of held me up was, don't be afraid to make mistakes. There's a difference between making mistakes and failing. You're going to make some mistakes going along. Like the first 2 houses I bought, I wouldn't say completely wrong, but they weren't, I didn't do any analysis or anything like that of the market. So, but at the end of the day, you buy real estate and hold, they've worked out for me. And 2, don't be afraid to either network or get out there, because other people are on the same journey, have made the same mistakes, and so you can utilize your network and your community to help not only bring value to them, but they bring value to you. Because the bigger your network is, the more value you're going to have, the more value you can bring to your people.
So the key phrase is to bring value and to surround yourself with those that can also bring value to those around you. Mm-hmm. So Ken, again, thank you so much for being on with me. If any of my listeners want to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
Probably the best way is LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Ken Hynes, and then or the Facebook group, Multifamily Life on the Facebook group.
Fantastic. LinkedIn or Facebook, we will drop those links below. Ken, again, thank you so much. I am so grateful to you and your time. And to all of my listeners out there, super grateful to you. If you have any thoughts of jumping into multifamily, please tap on that link below. And if you have any time right now, please rate, review, and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much. So much aloha, so much love, so much peace. Thank you again, Ken.
Thank you.
Aloha.